Hey friends, Elizabeth here from Plant-Based Bride, back again with another video. Today I'm excited to share with you my December plan with me in my bullet journal. As I often do with December themes, it's going to be a pretty simple one. I'm doing a singular piece of art. I almost always am very low on pages in my notebook once I get to the last month of the year, so I don't have enough pages to do a quote page, to do a cover page separate from the monthly calendar, or even to do weeklies that have multiple spreads per week. So I'm keeping it really simple, really minimal, and just doing this one painting to give us a bit of a wintry vibe. So I decided to do the painting on watercolor paper, and the concept of this painting was a Christmas ornament with a wintry scene inside. So I started with a very watered down yellow just to add a bit of a glow around the ornament, mostly just to help establish the outer edge of the ornament because it is supposed to be glass, and I didn't want to use line art for this piece to add outlines to things, so I wanted to use something to indicate the edge. So this soft yellow is what I went with, and then I really wanted there to be some little sprigs, some foliage with little red berries kind of tied to the top of the ornament. So I mixed a nice wintry green and started painting those little leaves. These sprigs were inspired by the little dried bouquet I have next to me on the table. You can see it in the overhead shots with the rounded leaves and the little red berries. I'm using old paint on my palette from previous paintings, so it's a mix of watercolor and gouache from Winsor & Newton. I'll try to figure out which colors I was using if I can match them to my tubes and list that information in the description box, but I do like to use the dried paint on my palette whenever I can so it doesn't go to waste. I really hate having to wash away all of that paint to start fresh with the palette, so I was happy to be able to just reuse the paint that was already there for this theme. I mixed together a nice deep burgundy type red for these little berries and added them in a bit of a random pattern around the greenery. Before I move on to painting the wintry scene inside the ornament, I want to take a quick moment to talk to you about this video's sponsor, Surfshark VPN. A VPN is a virtual private network which keeps your online identity safe by encrypting all of the information sent between your device and the internet. This keeps your personal data protected from big companies and cyber criminals. A VPN swaps the location of your device with a new one by changing your IP address. This way you can virtually travel to any country around the globe. I've been traveling recently and spending a lot of time in airports, so I made sure to open up the Surfshark app right away and let their quick connect auto connection feature do its thing before I started using public unsecured Wi-Fi to connect to the internet. Not only will Surfshark protect you online, but they have over 3,200 servers in 100 different countries, allowing you to access the content libraries of all of your favorite streaming services like Netflix. It's also super helpful if you are on vacation to another country, but you don't want to get behind on your favorite shows. You can change your location back to your country of origin and keep watching like nothing happened. Masking your IP address is essential to being private online, and a VPN makes sure that your city, country, and download history aren't linked to your identity. Surfshark will never monitor, track, or store what you do online, meaning there's no connection or activity logs. Surfshark also has a clean web feature which blocks ad trackers, malware, and phishing attempts, allowing you to surf the web safely. Because Surfshark VPN is sponsoring this video, they've provided me with an amazing discount code for all of you. Be sure to use code PBB Squad for up to 6 months for free. That's code PBB Squad for up to 6 months for free of Surfshark VPN. Thanks so much to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to use the link in my description box, and remember that Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk to try it out. Getting started now on the internal scene. I wanted to start with a nice, soft, barely there blue for the background, for the sky. I wanted this to be a night scene, and at first I considered doing a really dark blue as the background, but I was a little bit worried that it wouldn't look as translucent and glass-like as I wanted it to. So I changed my mind and went with a lighter blue, and I'm really happy I did because I do think it sort of gives a better glass snow globe sort of effect than a darker blue. Once I had the background filled in with that light blue, avoiding some of the major elements of my scene that I sketched out in pencil, so a couple large trees, the cabin, and the snow in the foreground, and being careful adding the blue around my foliage. I would definitely say if you were trying your hand at this painting, that starting with a light blue background, waiting for it to dry, and then painting the foliage on top would be a better way to go about this, but I didn't think about that. So I had to be very careful painting around the berries and foliage, really trying not to touch them with my wet brush so I wouldn't get any bleeding of the colors. I continued to add to that blue color, just making it a tiny bit darker one layer at a time. I mixed together a nice super orangey red shade to paint this cabin in the center, along with a little red chimney. Painted the doorways black and added a soft yellow to the windows so it would look like there was a bit of a glow from within. I also used some white gouache to go over all those areas that I left blank, everything that is meant to be snow. So the trees, the roof of the cabin that's covered in snow, and of course the foreground as well. I also used my white gouache on those reflections and to add a bunch of snow so this really looks like a snow globe as an ornament. I also used my white gouache to add a little bit of smoke coming out the chimney. I mixed a slightly darker white, more of a blue-toned gray, to add some shadows and dimension to the white areas. So I used it to create a bit of a path up to the cabin, to add some shadows to that foreground, also to add shadows to the edges of the roof line and to the branches of the trees. Again, just for a little bit more dimension to give a bit more shape to these amorphous white blobs, so it's a little easier to tell what they're supposed to be. I then grabbed my gold watercolor and painted the metallic top of the ornament. I don't know if these actually have a name. If you know it, please let me know in the comments down below. I also used the same gold to add the header at the bottom, just December in cursive, and had a last minute urge to use the gold on the windows and to add a tiny little extra window on that biggest door at the front. And I actually really love how this looks because it catches the light when you move or when the painting moves, and that makes it really look like there's a glow inside the house, which was kind of a fun addition, I think. The final touch here is to add the string to hold the ornament, and I just chose a light sort of orangey brown here. And that's it for this painting. I had a couple moments as I was going where I felt like it was not turning out the way I wanted. I was starting to worry that I would have to start over, but I'm actually pleasantly surprised with how it came out. I think it's very cute, and it really does get across the snow globe as an ornament feeling that I was going for. So like I mentioned, I'm not doing too much art for this setup, so I'm going to start by cutting down this watercolor paper just a little bit more and gluing it into my bullet journal, and then I'm moving over to the calendar on the opposite spread. I'm keeping the calendar pretty small, just using one page again because I'm running out of pages at the end of my notebook, but I find that a single page calendar is usually more than enough for me. Of course, I wanted to add tabs, as I always do. I'm such a tab girly. As always, I cut out my tabs 2 by 2 on the diagonal and 4 long on the straight edge. In my B5 size notebook, I find that size of tab is just perfect. At first, I was going to leave the calendar super simple, just the black outlines, the black numbers, and let the art speak for itself, but it did feel like it was missing just a little something. I felt like it needed something to tie it together. So on a whim, I sketched out some more green foliage with the red berries, just kind of sketched the shape that I wanted them to take, and then used the same watercolor dried on my palette to paint out these green sprigs with the red berries. And I'm really glad I decided to do that. I really like how it ties everything together on this spread and adds just a little bit more color, a little bit more festiveness to the calendar. And I decided to tape these tabs off and paint them the same super shiny, bright gold. Moving on to my weeklies, I am still on the rolling weekly train. I've been really enjoying going back to the rolling weekly. It's honestly kind of amazing what taking a little break can do. I was getting sick of it. I was feeling like I needed something new, and taking several months away and coming back, it's like a brand new system. And I am remembering again why I loved it so much and used it for so long. So I'm doing something very similar to my classic 2-page rolling weekly spread. I will link my video that goes into depth on the rolling weekly if you're lost. But I did make the space for each day a little bit bigger by putting Sunday through Thursday on the left side and having Friday and Saturday on the right, and just a little bit less space for my rolling task list. I think slightly more than half of the page is enough for my rolling task list, and I do tend to find fitting all 7 days on a single page, even in my larger B5 size notebook, can sometimes be a bit too small because I really do like to have space to jot down notes or scribble out timelines or to-do lists or whatever I need during the day. So I think this was a nice balance to still keep each weekly to 2 pages, so I had enough room in my notebook without limiting the functionality too much. For these spreads, I decided to keep them super simple. Didn't add any artistic element to them. They are infinitely practical, and that's it. But I do find that the shiny gold tabs along the edges do add just that little bit of interest, a little bit of fun, which helps me not feel like my weeklies are too boring. So that brings us to the end of this setup. Like I said, super simple, super minimal, very quick, just that little bit of art, that little bit of holiday spirit or wintry feeling. And I'm really happy with this. I think it's so cute. I love the gold. Y'all know, I think I've proved on this channel enough times that I'm a big fan of gold, and the shininess just always makes me smile. I'm easily entertained, and I think it's okay to admit that. But I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know what theme you went for December in your bullet journal, if you use themes in your bullet journal, and leave a series of emojis that represent this time of year to you, whether you are in the northern hemisphere like me and it's winter, might be snowy where you are, or maybe you're in the southern hemisphere and for you it's summer. Let me know. What are you feeling? What's your life like right now? How do you feel about this time of year? I would love to see it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate you all so much. Extra special thanks to my patrons for their support. They will be getting printable versions of the artwork from the setup, as always. And thank you, of course, once again, to Surfshark VPN for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to click the link in the description box. Be sure to use code PBB Squad for up to 6 months for free. That's code PBB Squad for up to 6 months for free of Surfshark VPN. And with that, I'm gonna get going. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you really soon in my next one. Bye, friends.